Um, Today is the 20th anniversary of the day I had an abortion. And I really wasn't sure how I was going to feel today. That's going to drive me nuts back there. Hang on. Oh my gosh. It was just on low, but it'll go off in a sec. So yeah, 20 years ago today, I had an abortion, and it was not one of those deals where it wasn't a typical abortion. It wasn't like I didn't want the baby, or I didn't think I could take care of the baby. It was nothing like that. My ex and I had gotten back together. The father of one of my girls, my second girl, had gotten back together, and we were married, and things were going just really well. I wasn't a Christian back then, just to let y'all know, and neither was he. I don't know if he is now, but he could be. Anyway, so things were going really well, and we had gotten back together, and we were married, and we were like, hey, let's try to have a baby. So we tried and immediately got pregnant. I was a very fertile young lady back then. The thing is, I was on this medication for migraines called Depakote, and I knew that as soon as I got pregnant, I would need to go off of it, and I did. But what I didn't know is that I should have gone off of it as soon as I tried to get pregnant. But they didn't know much about it, or if they did, they didn't say that it could cause harm to your baby. So as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I went off the medicine. At that point, I found out immediately. So at the 4-week mark, as soon as I was late, I found out. And so I stopped the medicine. But at that point, it was too late. And the medicine had already done its damage. So at the 9-week ultrasound, everything was fine. At that point, they just looked like a little peanut. And so I was fine. Pregnancy was going fine. Then, and also at the same time, my sister-in-law was pregnant too, so it was kind of fun. I think she was a little, like, 2 months behind me. So, no, she was 2 months ahead of me, excuse me. So, around 15 weeks, or at the end of 14 weeks, I think, I started bleeding a little bit. I just got in the bathroom and there was a little bit of blood, and I was like, ooh, that's not good. It could be fine, because when you're pregnant, you can bleed for any reason because you have so much blood flowing in your body. So I just called the doctor, and the doctor was like, you can make an appointment. Don't worry, unless you pass out or you start bleeding a lot, then go to the ER. So I hung up the phone with him, and then I got lightheaded and almost passed out. I am someone that if I'm about to pass out, I can totally tell it's about to happen. And so I will sit on the ground. And usually then I won't completely pass out. Things might go black, but I won't, like, So, yeah. I did that sort of passing out. So my ex and I went to the ER, and they did an ultrasound and checked me, and they were like, you're fine. And I was like, oh, can I see the ultrasound? And they were like, no, we'll let your doctor see that first. And we don't really show ultrasounds in the ER. And I was like, that's not true. This is not my first ultrasound in the ER, but whatever. So I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong, and just went home, and I was like, this isn't good. Got an appointment so that was on a Sunday. Got an appointment with my doctor on Tuesday. Monday he wasn't there. I wanted to go to the doctor so bad. I was like, I need to know what's going on. So the doctor's office called me and they were like, actually, we're going to send you to get a different kind of ultrasound. It's called a level 2 ultrasound. And they didn't even have 3D ultrasounds at this point. Or if they did, like, nobody did them. So they were like, yeah, we're going to send you this other ultrasound. And I was like, okay. Got there, brought a tape so we could record it and all that stuff. Gave him the tape. And then he started doing the ultrasound, and it was very clear that this baby was not formed properly. Like, her head looked very weird. The back of her head was, well, not just the back of her head, like her whole head is this very swirly. So what happened was there was no skull. So she didn't have anencephaly. Anencephaly is different. She had her brain. She just didn't have her skull. She had like her facial bones because you can actually see those. But from about here back, there was nothing. There was no skull. Just her brain and the covering, the skin, I guess, was just there. And her head was just kind of floating around, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. It's very weird. So she had a condition called acrania, and acrania is super duper rare. It's so rare. Like, there's hardly any cases out there, especially back then, 20 years ago, there were just no cases. There's been a few since. There was a little girl, I think she lived to be 4, that had it. Her name was Vittoria. But so she also had like a white spot on her heart, which they said usually means that she's got Down syndrome. She also had clubbed feet. I feel like there was something else, but I'm not sure. So that medicine, Depakote, did really, really bad things to her neurological development, and physical development. So this ultrasound doctor says, I didn't press record on the tape because I didn't know if y'all want to see that. And I was just like, he goes, do you want me to do it again? And you can have the tape. And I said, no. I wish to God he had not done that. I wish he would have just recorded it because I was not in the right mind to say yes or no. Like, I was just in shock, distraught. I didn't know what the heck had just happened. So basically, this ultrasound doctor goes, well, you know what you need to do. They don't do that at this hospital because it's a religious hospital. It was a Methodist hospital. And so you need to go to this clinic. And I was like, what do I need to do? I don't understand. And he said, well, they'll, you go to this hospital or this clinic and they will, remove her. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was a girl. I did not know that meant abortion. Like, he never said that word. When I called the clinic, I said I need to have a D&E. The only way it was described to me was D&E. So I was like, okay, I need to have a D&E. And they scheduled it for me. And I went in there and they were like, fill out this form. I was like, man, there's a lot of pregnant women in here. This is sad. I realized that a lot of them were having abortions once I got there because it was an abortion clinic. But in my mind, I wasn't having an abortion. I still thought, oh, they're gonna just get the baby out. She's dying or something. Or they're gonna give her something to help her pass away and then they'll get her out. Like, I don't know. That's what I thought. So I went through this, I filled out all this paperwork and it was a certain color. I feel like it was green or something or yellow. I can't remember. And then I went to this little counseling room and they were like, this is what we're just gonna let you know. This is what's gonna happen once you go in there. And she showed me, and then she started like demonstrating with the little vacuum, the suction, and I was like in tears. I said, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm not here to have an abortion." And she goes, "What are you doing here then?" And I mean, she was very nice. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm having a D&E and my baby's sick." And she goes, "Oh my God. Okay, they gave you the wrong paperwork to fill out. Um, I'm going to go get the proper paperwork and we'll do this again." So I had to refill out every piece of paper, and it was a lot. And then we had to go back in that room, and she kind of explained to me what a D&E was, and I was just like, "I don't understand. Am I having an abortion?" And she was like, "Well, yes, it just never occurred to me." There was no education back then, you guys. There was no education about abortion, like what it is, what it was. Nobody talked about it like now. Unfortunately, we're talking about it for the wrong reasons, in my opinion. I think abortion should be completely and 100% illegal. I had so many people in my life try to convince me that I was doing the right thing, that, I could have complications later, it could be dangerous for me. And someone who told me that actually worked for Planned Parenthood. So I don't know what I expected, but I just didn't know back then. My husband didn't know. My mom and dad didn't know any better that I know of. And it was just, I was just asking as many people as I could, and they all said it's the right thing to do. So I was like, okay. So anyway, so I'm there. I get in the room. I had a 2-day procedure because I wanted the dignity of going into labor. That's, in my mind, that felt right. So I did the laminaria thing, and they dilated me. So I actually went into labor for that day and all night. And I had contractions and stuff like that. So that part makes me feel a little bit better. But then the next day I went, and that morning, so it was today, 20 years ago, I went and had the procedure. And I just remember it being horrible. The doctor that, I can still see him in my head, that performed it, he was about 5 feet tall. He didn't seem to have any cares, or I don't know. I didn't see him that much, but I just remember him because I had already gotten my medication. So what they gave me was like Benadryl and something else in an IV. But it was not enough to actually put me to sleep. It was like I was just kind of out of it, but I could feel everything that was happening to me. I could feel like my uterus being pulled out is what it felt like. I can hear the vacuum where they were sucking her body pieces out, and it was just awful. And the absolute worst day of my life. After that, my husband and I, we tried to get through it. It was just incredibly depressing. I was so depressed. I'd never been that depressed in my life. It was a painful thing to look down at my belly because I'd already started showing because she was my third baby. And to still look down at my belly and just know that it's still big, but there's nothing in there, was heartbreaking. It was really hard for me to lose that baby weight, particularly. It took a while. I think because your body's in shock, like what had just happened. You were pregnant and then you were not, and I didn't do that. Your body's just like, I didn't do that. So it was just a really painful time. And my ex and I, I went to therapy, and he did not. Well, he went once, but we just didn't We didn't go together, except for the one time. And I started to get better. I tried everything. I tried hypnotism, like that didn't work. But I just prayed a lot. I believed in God, and I thought I was a Christian. No. But I still believed in God, and I prayed to God every day, and I prayed to, get signs from her. But it was really hard. I remember this one time I was in the closet. We had like a walk-in closet in this condo that we lived in, and the light went off and on while I was in there, and I was like, there was a light switch on the outside, and I looked out of the closet to see if like one of my other daughters did it, but I was alone, and I was talking to her at that very moment. So I don't know. I don't think that people who died come back to visit us. I don't believe that, but maybe God was just giving me a sign, because I know he can do that. Anyway, so we ended up getting a divorce, and it just got really bad. Like, he turned to gaming, and that was his outlet, and it just got so bad. Like, and I don't blame him for any of this. It just doesn't work. If you're both not getting help, then it's just not going to work. Like, one person can't heal and the other one not heal, And, from what I understand, it took him a lot of years to heal, which makes me so sad. Neither of us deserved going through that. But, yeah, it was hard. So I just, I can't believe it's been 20 years. So she had been born and did not have any neural tube defects or anything, if she lived. She would be 19 right now, because her due date was in February. So she'd be 19. She'd be probably a sophomore in college. Maybe they get to do that up there. I don't know. And I don't know. All I can think about is that she's happy where she is. She doesn't need me. She doesn't need her mom. And she's got the Creator. She's with Jesus. And that's the most comforting thing there is. Like, I don't worry about her. It's sad for me. I'm sure it's sad for my ex. But we're okay. And I know she's okay. And that's all I can worry about or think about. And, yeah. So, I just want to say that I 100%, like I said in the beginning, believe that abortion should not be legal, period. Because there's so many stupid arguments out there that just don't make any sense, like life of the mother. Nowadays, we know that that's completely false. If there's a life of the mother issue, you don't abort, you deliver. So there's no reason to actually rip a baby to pieces. That's an abortion. In some cases, especially when they're older babies, they'll inject their heart with the same medicine that they give to inmates who are in death row, so that they die. They give that to the babies. And then they still pull them apart. They crush their skull. They pull their legs and arms off. And yes, I'm obviously able to talk about this now because I have been an advocate for, I'm a pro-life advocate for pretty much ever since. So, I'm very educated on abortion. So I know there's zero reason for an abortion. So like I said, if it's a life of the mother issue, deliver. You don't abort. You can deliver. You can do C-section. There's a lot of ways. They can get the baby out in a C-section way faster than with an abortion. Makes no sense to me, like, why take the time to rip the baby apart if the mother's actually in distress? C-section. That easy. As far as can't afford it, can't any of that stuff, adoption is the obvious answer. There's so many people waiting for babies. it's not as easy as you think. There's not as many babies as there are people willing to adopt. So, um, anyways, that's my stance on that. As someone who has had an abortion, I feel like I have the right to speak on it. So, anyways, I just wanted to say hi and let y'all know how I'm doing, and I'm doing okay. I was not doing okay a couple days ago, just kind of dreading this day, but it's been fine. And she has a little garden at my parents' house that's got purple irises in it. There's probably not any right now, but I will probably go there and just talk to her a little bit. I know I can talk to her wherever and talk to God wherever, but that's her memorial spot since there's nowhere to. I didn't have her body. Oh, and check this out. When I asked for her body, not realizing what they had done to her, when I asked for her body, they told me that it would cost me $1,000, and they would UPS it to me. Y'all, God knows what I would have gotten in that box. It could have been any part from any baby, because this place that I went to was shut down. They were shut down in 2009. It was so bad that they literally just left, and they left all the records there. They took nothing. They left all the medical records there, just sitting there. And actually a friend of mine who is a pro-life advocate went in that building and got those boxes out. And my records could have been in there. I don't know. She doesn't have them anymore. She actually turned them in somewhere. I'm not sure. But anyway, shady place. So anyways, that's long enough. It's already been 22 minutes and I gotta get going. It's time for my show. All right. Love y'all. Bye. Whoops.